What's good, YouTube? My name is Denai. Welcome back to my channel again. Today I'm coming with y'all with disturbing child drawings with real footage, something like that. Something in the title. But if you're new here, make sure like, comment, and subscribe because y'all already know we the latest in the game. Without further ado, I reacted to part 1, but the screen recording thing stopped screen recording, so I'm just gonna react to part 2 now. So without further ado, let's get on with this video.
This, hands down, has got to be the most
Okay, I don't see nothing wrong with that. It's a nice drawing.
creepiest story on the channel. Sometimes.
Oh, I thought he was about to say drawing. Sorry for pausing so much, but I'm just trying to get my input before he say what he finna say. But I'm gonna stop pausing. Let's go.
Kid drawings could look innocent, but when you dive into the true meaning behind the drawing, you can really discover some terrifying things. Here, you see an innocent-looking cat, but when you see what happens at the end of the story, you may question your sanity. Here's what it looked like. Most kids develop strange habits at some point during their childhood. Imaginary friends, eccentric rituals, or other strange compulsive behaviors. They can be brought on by just about anything, and the only limit is the imagination of the child. So, I'm sure you can imagine my bewilderment when my teenage daughter started seeing the ghost of our recently deceased cat. Now, the teenage years of a kid's life is about the time when they start finding reasons to be mad and indignant with authority, as they begin to voice their disagreements with their parents. But all that stuff is usually over things like curfews and bedtimes and chores. Not about a disagreement over whether or not the cat is still alive. I knew that cat was dead for a fact. I was the one who tried to catch it when it broke out of the house and ran out in front of a speeding car, getting itself turned to roadkill. I was the one who scraped it off the street and buried it in the backyard. Despite that, my daughter managed to find a way to blame me for the cat's death, because I scared it or something. I didn't care though. I didn't get mad back or anything like that, because on a deeper level I understood what my daughter was going through, and to some extent I did agree that some of her stress was my fault. I'd recently taken a new job opportunity that required my family to move to a different city. My daughter detested this, because she had been very involved with her old school. I felt bad, so I tried to make it up to her. I bought her a phone and a desktop computer for her room so she could stay in touch with her old friends over that internet thing the kids were all talking about. My wife and I even took her to the pound and let her pick out a cat for us to adopt. These things combined seemed to do the trick with keeping our daughter happy. However, when the cat died, things became worse than ever. At first, it just seemed like she was not properly processing the grief. For a few days, she didn't say anything. She didn't go to school. All she did was draw. I'd go into her room from time to time to remind her to study and stay caught up, but it was like she didn't even notice my presence. She just kept drawing pictures of the cat, like a little kid with a brand new box of crayons would, except her drawings of the cat were actually pretty good. When she finally started talking again, my wife and I wanted to celebrate, but we couldn't, because our daughter wasn't talking to us. She was talking to the cat.
Oh, I'm so glad you came back, Precious. You really are precious, aren't you? Yes, you are.
Who are you talking to, sweetie?
I'm talking to Precious, obviously.
No, yeah, obviously she was looking at the paper, the drawing. Yeah, she was looking at the drawing, so obviously she's talking to the cat.
She came back. I guess that means you have to start buying cat food again. Don't forget, she's so hungry.
My wife and I were taken aback. Our daughter had never had an imaginary friend before, so it was that much stranger to see her develop one now. Or at least, that's the way things looked. We tolerated the strangeness for the time being, however, as our daughter at least seemed to be happier. She started to go back to school again, which we felt was good. The only problem was that when she came home from school every day, she would start doing her old routine of taking care of the cat, dishing out some food and water, petting it, and talking to it and carrying it around. Except there was nothing there. She was just pantomiming. Still, we appeased her and got a few cans of cat food. thinking that she would surely come to her senses at any moment.
Okay, so at this point, y'all entertaining the idea, so it's kind of y'all fault. But again, well, I didn't say this, but so like if she don't come over the fact that the cat is dead, y'all gonna either have to buy a new cat or keep wasting y'all money on cat food that's not being eaten by the cat or eaten or whatever.
But that's not what happened. We watched her set the food out, and the next day it would be gone. We didn't have a dog, so to us, there was only one explanation. Wendy, we need to talk. We've noticed that you've been talking to yourself lately, and we're worried. And about the cat food, you haven't been eating it, have you?
Oh my god, no. What do you need, glasses? Precious has been eating it, obviously.
But Precious isn't here anymore, sweetheart. She's not coming back.
What do you mean? She's right here in my arms. You guys are so blind. I can't stand you.
My wife and I just didn't have a clue on what to do. That night, I was losing sleep, stuck awake worrying that my daughter had gone crazy. That's when I heard a noise from downstairs that sounded exactly like a cat sharpening their claws, tearing up some fabric. My wife had managed to get to sleep, so I dared not ruin her rest. I jumped up out of bed and threw on my robe and walked downstairs by myself. I found the back of the living room sofa had been torn to shreds, like a neurotic feline with abandonment issues had been locked in there alone. I was immediately flushed with a mixture of
Did you just say a feline
with abandonment
issues? So you must have been I don't know what it's called. You must have been a pet tick. You must have worked at a pet store before, because that was very, very specific.
frustration and horror. Then, a door upstairs slammed shut. I knew that it was my daughter's room. I rushed upstairs, but instead of barging into a room, I stalled. I saw two shadows shifting in the light, spilling out from beneath the door. I heard my daughter talking to herself again, but this time I heard meowing in response. I quietly shuffled up to the door and put my ear against it. I swear I could hear purring. When I thought I'd heard enough, I swung open the door, somehow thinking that I'd see some random stray cat living in my daughter's room. But of course, there was nothing. She was just laying on her bed, acting like she was holding something, petting it and smiling at it and kissing it. I gasped in complete shock at the sight of my daughter acting like a schizophrenic. Wendy jumped up in surprise when she noticed me.
What are you doing? Haven't you heard of knocking?
What? But what are you doing? It's a school night. You should be sleeping. At a loss for words to say or actions to take, I very awkwardly retreated back through the doorway and gently closed the door. I listened in again, but she turned the light off and didn't make any more noise. The next day, after I'd gotten home from work and Wendy was back from school, I thought I'd try something. I found a camera I'd gotten from a relative the previous Christmas.
Oh my God, you finna stalk your daughter.
A regular old film camera with most of the shots left in it from the first film reel we'd ever loaded into it. So, Wendy, I know we've been having some disagreements about Precious. You believe she's still around, and your mother and I believe that she isn't. I thought of a good way that we could find out once and for all who's really right.
With pictures? Okay, let me go get her.
She left the room to retrieve the cat, returning with her arms stretched out in a weird position as though she was holding a fully grown house cat. She smiled and I framed up the camera, then snapped the picture. When the flash went off along with the click of the mirrors inside the camera, Wendy flinched and dropped her arms.
Oh no, that scared her.
She ran off in pursuit of the phantom feline. I wasn't able to get Wendy to take any more pictures with the cat. Apparently, it was thoroughly frightened by the sight and sound of the camera. One was all I needed, though. I took the film roll to the photo lab and had it developed as soon as possible. I waited until my wife and my daughter were both home before opening the envelope. We were all sitting on the couch together when it was revealed. Wendy was ecstatic. To this day, I still can't explain it. I've stopped trying to. The picture I took, even though I saw that there was no cat when I took that photo, the photo itself contained a flawless image of Precious, sprawled out in my daughter's arms, exactly the way it would have been.
That's why I don't mess with cats. It's just something about them. I don't know. It's weird.
If it had really been there. This image is allegedly the same image taken by the family of the daughter and her quote-unquote invisible cat. When the family got the picture developed, this is what they found. This is just downright terrifying, as the cat seemingly appears in the girl's hands, despite nothing being there when the photo was taken.
Alright, I guess we'll be reacting to part 3 tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a big fat like on this video. Make sure to comment and subscribe because y'all already know we the list in the game. That was one of the most weirdest reactions that I ever did. But like, it is what it is. But I guess I'm gonna catch y'all in my next video. Peace.